Reed is in your rotation. How does it sound to you?
I like it. Obviously he's one of the game's better starting pitchers, and you can never have enough high-quality starting pitchers, so we're happy to import him with what we already have. We've got a strong rotation already. Just adding to it protects us in a lot of different ways, and hopefully we can continue to excel in that area as we did in 24.
What was it about those conversations with him initially that made you want to bring him here?
Well, first, we assessed the talent for a long time as, one of the premier starting pitchers in the game. Once we got a chance to know him, too, you got a much more comfort level because, again, you're flying blind on the person. You hear about the competitive side from your pro scouts and from your makeup assessments when you do your connection tabs with your teammates and your clubhouse guys and your pro scouts, finding everything you can about the person. But when you get a chance to actually get to know them, in an interacting way, we did a Zoom with them, and we had at it. We just had a lot of different deep dive questions with him, and my takeaway was I already knew he was a competitor, but this was a genuine, down to earth human being that was very easily relatable. I thought that the way he handled himself, he tucked really well into this clubhouse. Every day he's not pitching, and then and be that warrior you need on the days he does pitch. So we all walked away going, "Oof, that was an impressive individual." He's really smart, very thoughtful in his answers, and if you follow his journey as a artist there on the mound, since his amateur days, drafted by the Padres, traded to the Braves, he's continued to evolve and emerge. Adapting and adjusting and growing his repertoire, adding certain pitches, then becoming the master of those pitches as he continues to find ways to navigate, prominent lineups here in Major League Baseball and do it extremely well at a high end on a consistent basis. So, we felt really good.
Brian, after the initial sting of losing Soto, how happy have you been with Plan B, so to speak, and the moves you've been able to make?
Yeah, I don't know about happy, not happy. The job is just to try to find the best way in the marketplace that's available in front of you to improve the team. We had a great run in 2024. It's going to be a different team in 2025 because we have, we've made some trades now, and we've lost obviously some high-end players, including Juan Soto, but not just him, Clay Holmes and Tommy Kahnle currently is a free agent. Gleyber Torres is a free agent. Timmy Hill's a free agent. All these guys played, real important roles to where we got last year. So every year your team is different, and the intent always is to find a way to rework it where somehow you're giving yourself as good a chance, if not better, as you move forward. And so that's the conversations are leading us certain directions. Happy with what we've done thus far, but recognize that the competition in our division alone is rather daunting. And obviously everybody's going to try to do everything they can to take the World Series title away from the Dodgers. So got a lot of heavy lifting that we're doing currently, but more to be done.
How much does Cody Bellinger help this ball club?
He's a nice fit for us. Again, a lot of flexibility there. He's, a left-handed bat that, puts the ball in the air on the pull side that fits our ballpark. He's an above-average defender in the outfield as well as first base. So we got some choices there for our manager to play with, depending on how this winter shakes out. He runs the bases really well, very athletic. So, he checks a lot of boxes for us. And so I'm happy that, again, when we lost, for instance, to Juan Soto, we lost the left-handed balance portion of our lineup, so it's nice to continue to add some choices there, improve some defense, but again, more work to be done.
What have you identified as some priorities moving forward now that you've gotten this group of guys inked?
Well, they're first and foremost, I do have internal options. I think DJ LeMahieu should be healthy as we enter spring training, so I don't want to discount where DJ could play a role here, whether it's at third or at first or at second. We have obviously Oswaldo Cabrera. We have Ben Rice that had some growing pains, learning a new position at first base. So those, and then Jason Dominguez that could be deployed, and ready to go for the outfield. So those are the internal choices. We've got to measure that again, what towards the external options. So, we acquired Jazz this past summer at the trade deadline. He can play third now. He's proven that. He can play second. So depending, what I do externally, if anything, he could, if I bring in a third baseman potential, he can go to second. If I bring in a second baseman, he stays at third. If I bring in a first baseman, Rice can, percolate more in the minor leagues at AAA. If I bring in an outfielder, Jason gets more development time. There's just a lot of different things. Or if we stay on line with what we already have, we go through that lane as well. So it just, conversations will continue with free agents and with trade partners, and no guarantees, but we're trying to be as aggressive and find ways to improve the team. Period.
Great pitchers with a long track record now of doing it really consistently. We've had the unfortunate pleasure of facing them a couple times in the interleague where we didn't get to miss them, and just a talented guy that can do a lot of different things on the mound, fields his position incredibly well. Has shown the ability to even at an early point in his career to kind of evolve and be able to add and subtract to his arsenal. And we think that pitchability that he has is something that's going to serve him over the long haul. But in the immediate, we're getting one of the game's great pitchers to add to what we feel like is already a very good rotation.
Aaron, when you add a guy like Max to this already good rotation, what does that do to help push everybody else on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things you always hope that kind of happens organically on some of the best teams you play on, or some of the best team cultures and environments that you create, that you gotta create every year. You can't take it for granted, where there's that internal competition too that goes on, that whether it's in this case the starting rotation, where those guys are kind of pushing one another, one guy handing it off to the next guy, wanting to outperform the next guy. When those things kind of happen organically, and again, that's not a given. You got to work at that every year. Those create those opportunities to where you can then tap into something really special.
What about having a lefty near the top of that rotation?
Yeah, I think going back in the history of our sport, having left-handed starters in Yankee Stadium's always been something that's of maybe added value. And I think that's the case with Max. His ability to keep the ball on the ground, keep the ball in the ballpark, but really, dominate both sides of the plate because his arsenal is so vast. So, I think in a perfect world, for us, you always love to add a lefty, and to compliment Garrett up there at the top is pretty impressive.
How have you bounced since the Juan Soto decision?
How have I bounced?
How have you bounced back, or how do you respond to that?
Yeah, one thing I know for sure is ownership and Hal and the Steinbrenner family are going to do everything they can to put forth a team that's capable of competing for a championship. And I think we're getting to that point now. Like, I acknowledge it's December, and obviously losing out on Juan was somebody we obviously wanted to bring back, but there's also other ways to get it done. And I think ownership and Cash and the front office have done a great job of kind of pivoting and start to lay the groundwork here of giving us a team that has a legit chance to go compete for it. And that's ultimately the goal you try and accomplish in the winter. But again, it's December, so hopefully there's a few more things to be done here, and then we get down to Tampa and start the real work at going back and hopefully getting back to a World Series.